Welcome back, everybody. We have our second fireside chat. 3 new people in the chairs beside me. This time, the theme is creating future business leaders, how society can support a transformational journey. 3 guests right here. We're starting here to my left. Lasse Finnerup, founder and CEO of Trinus Rejser. You offer sort of group customized travel, special to young people.
That's right.
And as well as Expo Travel, so you've got the official travel partnership for the Danish participation in the World Exhibition, Expo 2020 in Dubai. Congratulations.
Thank you.
With that. Jasmina Pless, so you're the Chief Consultant of Entrepreneurship at the Chamber of Commerce, the Danish Chamber of Commerce, Dansk Erhverv.
That's right.
And you're a political expert and spokesperson on entrepreneurship and startup policy. Across from me, Yusufa Sey, you're the founder of IPO Capital. It's a private equity startup. You invest in majority-controlled acquisitions of profitable businesses in Denmark, in the UK. I don't really know what that really means, but I guess you're going to tell us all about it.
It's a mouthful.
I guess before the entrepreneurship side, the founder side, was that you were founder of Athgene, which raised a few rounds of capital before you sold it off to a local competitor, 2017, a few years ago. So welcome. I think we've got a lot of different angles on this theme already. And Lasse, we're going to start right beside you because I talked to you all before we came here today, and I think that your story really is a real story of the moment in time, right? Because you quit your job in real estate in February to start a travel agency.
Yeah, go full time on travel agency.
I mean, you got to just tell us how, what happened. You tell us about building up this company and then what happened when you launched it. Just give us a little insight into that.
Yeah, so incredible timing, first of all, to go full time on your travel agency in February. So it had actually taken me sort of 2 years to build the mental courage to actually go full time on, pursue the entrepreneurial dream. I did that end of February. I quit my job in real estate, and I was ecstatic. I was living the dream. I'm pursuing the entrepreneurial dream, and then 2 weeks later, the world shuts down. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeppe Kofod, went on stage and told everyone who's out traveling to call your travel agency and tell them to get you home, get a refund. Everyone that's about to travel, call your travel agency. Cancel all your tours, get a refund. And the time it was horrible for me. Because I was a student at CBS, I still am, but we had just started writing our thesis. And everyone that's written a thesis at CBS, they know that this is a full-time occupation in itself. And I was having interviews with the candidates for an internship at my company this semester. I was working really hard on securing the whole Expo contract, and that's sort of also a full-time occupation in itself. And we had 2 exams coming up. And now I also had to talk to customers, get customers home from New Zealand, Australia, Asia, talk to their parents in the weekends, in the afternoons, and I had to refund just under 500,000 Danish kroner, which was just like the first thing I did. When Jeppe Kofod went on stage, was to check the bank account. Like, how much do we have? Are we going to survive? But we survived. I'm surprised I don't have gray hair now, but it was an experience. Yeah. It was definitely an experience.
But you have got this great deal. I mean, next year there's going to be the Expo, the 2020. I mean, that's awesome. How did you get that deal?
So. It's hard to say, but I think much of it is owed to I'm a former phone salesman. So COVID was sort of like a blessing in disguise because I'm very good over the phone. So we had a lot of virtual meetings. I think we had 8 over maybe two months. And we had a chemistry, me and the guys. So we ended up signing a contract in August this year. Now we are official partners.
That's excellent. So it's personal skills and being a personal, being good on the phone that's an important lesson.
Yeah.
Jasmina, I mean, first of all, how old are you, Lasse?
I'm 24.
You're 24 years old,
yeah.
So you're 12 years younger than I am. Let's just put that in perspective, everybody. I still see myself as a young man, Maybe I shouldn't. Jasmina, so we might be in a tricky time. Obviously, COVID isn't a great time to start some businesses. Other businesses, maybe this is a perfect time for some people. But I get the feeling that there's never been more resources and support available for people who do want to go and make the leap.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about like what's happened over the last few years. Where's all the support coming from?
Well, I think that what we can see, we're in a time now where there is a lot of support for entrepreneurs because society have shifted to believing in that these will be the large corporations of the future. Maybe if we go 10 years back, we would have seen that if someone went to their parents and said they wanted to become an entrepreneur, they would be like, yeah, but I think if you would find full support from your surroundings and your family and your friends, if you say you're an entrepreneur today, because we have role models, we have people who are more visual, or more in the newspapers, and you can see the good stories, and you can see that people can have success by starting on their own, and not only by joining a large corporation. And it does take courage. Like, I think Lasse's story is very inspiring because you mentioned all these things where, like, well, you had a student job and you have a career and you have a path in front of you, and that would probably also give you success. That's I think that is a lot of Danish young people would have that choice between, why don't I just pick the safe choice of getting a nice job in accounting and I will get a good salary and I would be able to support a family and live a happy life. But taking that risk and taking that jump into entrepreneurship, yeah, you might be able to create a big corporation where you will succeed in earning more money and maybe employing a lot of people. But it could also go the other way. So that is a big risk and a big jump to take that decision. And that safety net and the safe path that is available in Denmark to a lot of people probably creates a bad statistics in Denmark. We see a lot when we look at Denmark compared to a lot of European countries and other countries we normally compare to. We are really low in the statistics of a ratio of entrepreneurs in society. And that's probably because, well, it's so easy to just go out and get a good job.
Yeah, so the countries you were telling me that were high in the ratio were sort of, I think you said Greece, Moldova or something like that.
See, that's the thing.
You know, I mean, I think there's reasons why it's, you know, people have got to go and, you know, make their own businesses in those countries. And they're sort of, it's a good reason that there's a lot of jobs available for people in Denmark,
exactly,
right?
Yeah, so when we look at the statistics, we have Denmark in one end, where the ratio of people who start their own company compared to people who are employees, we're really, really low on that ratio. And then we have countries like Slovakia and Greece and Italy on the other end of the scale, and they have a very high ratio. So it's not necessarily that we should be in that high end, because the statistics also shows that, well, there is a lot of nice jobs to get, so a lot of people would take that safe road. And when we look at the other end of the scale of those countries that would have a high ratio of entrepreneurs, they're sometimes what we call pushed into entrepreneurship. Yeah. So it's like, I think I even learned that at CBS. There's like a push or a pull entrepreneurship effect. So either you are pulled into entrepreneurship because you have this great idea and you can see the market in front of you and you're just being pulled by this great idea. And on the other end of the scale, you can sometimes in some countries be pushed into entrepreneurship because there is not a good safety net. Yeah. So you might lose your job and you don't know what to do. Yeah. And like to put it like in a squared fashion, like if you're in a country that doesn't have any safety net, you might find someone who sells some apples from an apple farm and then you take the apples to a market. That's also entrepreneurship, but maybe not the kind you would initially
absolutely
want.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely a push entrepreneur. I got fired and we had to create a new company. And it worked out. So even in Denmark, there's certainly push and pull.
And that's good too. It also creates a good like a culture around it. So we need that too. We don't need only the perfect entrepreneurs that create growth and wealth for society. That's good, but we also need people who just start a company and make a living for themselves, and that can give on to the younger generation and show that this is totally possible to live a life like this.
Well, we're going to talk maybe a little bit later about specifically what these different resources that are available. I'm sure you know all about it. Yusufa, I think I wanted to. You're from here. I mean, you're basically home, right?
I'm home.
You're home. You're a graduate of CSE, of Copenhagen School of Entrepreneurship, and I think a bit later maybe we can actually talk about what it is that you've got out of being here. But actually, I think let's talk another founder story, because I'm actually very interested in learning a bit more about Athgene. What was this company built upon? How did you create it? Tell us. Because it's kind of cool. I quite like it. There's sort of genes and technology and science
So we're going back a few years, but Athgene was basically a biotech company that gave people access to interpretations of their fitness genes. So people took a DNA test via mouth swab, which is something that we're all familiar with these days, given COVID-19. It was very strange activity 3 years ago. And basically, we built a company based on new DNA technology that helped people train better. It gave them advice on, how should they eat? How does their body react to, carbohydrates versus salt versus fats? Do they have, fast twitch muscles versus slow twitch muscles and things of that nature? So the scientific word is genetic predispositions, which basically means, we can't tell you, there's no right or wrong, but we can sort of indicate what is likely to be more effective for you versus for me. An example is, I'm from West Africa, maybe you noticed, and perhaps, I'm genetically predisposed for being, very good at short distance running or other activities that benefit from, fast twitch muscle activities, versus maybe someone else who is from a different part of the world that benefits more from slow twitch muscle activities, etc. So I haven't had to pitch Athgene in 3 years, but it was a lot of fun. We founded the company in 2015, myself and some other co-founders. And the thing I always say is, the first thing we did at Athgene, right, was we needed an office. At least we thought we did. And CSE was that office. So we came here, and we sort of submitted an application, and it was basically just a presentation of an idea. And Copenhagen School of Entrepreneurship was kind enough to welcome us. And perhaps we overstayed our welcome, because normally you're only allowed to be here for 3 months. And in the end, we had ended up living here for 15 months. So, we did different sort of programs, and then eventually we're part of the Go Grow Accelerator. But yeah, I mean, CSE is a key part of my story, as well as another accelerator program called Thinkubator. Both of which, facilitated what little success we had at Athgene.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, there's so much more I want to get into that, like why Athgene in the first place. How did you have that idea? But we had the founder of Let's Sushi just on before, and she was talking about why, right? She was talking about like what is it that you gotta be able to go back to that in order to sort of stay motivated and stay in the process in a really difficult time. Lasse, is this what's keeping you going through this difficult time, that you have a reason to be doing it, that you sort of keep ahead of you and you're sort of very determined to pursue? And what's your motivating drive at the moment?
I would say, so whenever I talk to my friends about starting a business, the first thing I always say is that if you're going to start, do something you're passionate about. And I think for me, I don't know if I think it's pull. It was because I like what we do, we do tailored gap year tours. And I went traveling for 12 months, over 2 years. I had 2 gap years. And it was just the experience of a lifetime for me. And I really wanted everyone to have that. So I came back, I started at CBS. I sort of pushed it away for a bit. But then at the beginning of my second semester, I found the time. I found a way to optimize my study techniques. So I started it, but it's still because of the why, because I had the incredible experience. And what I usually say is that my top 10 memories are all from my gap years. Like, I've been here for 24 years. I had 2 gap years. I went traveling for 1 year, and my top 10 memories are from 1 year. Like, that's incredible. So I want to pay that forward. So that's definitely due to the why.
giving people the opportunity to go and maybe on also different types of journeys that maybe they wouldn't get, right? So your company offers sort of very customizable journeys. Back to you, Yusufa. We're going to get back to you, Jasmina, in a second, but when we start to talk maybe about more the sort of, what is available, what are the tools the government's turning to sort of get people in. What's your why? Why did you go? Why did you go down that route in the first place?
I agree with what Lasse has just said, and I think that word is very apt, passion, and we hear it a lot. If I distill that word a bit further, for me what that means is the tension between curiosity on one hand and overcoming challenges on the other hand. I think every founder, entrepreneur, or anyone that's ever tried to build a business, they don't really know how things are going to turn out, right? No one's got a crystal ball. So there's this curiosity, this, what am I capable of factor? What can we achieve? How big can we build this? How much impact can we have? And I think the curiosity sort of pulls them, and it gets them out of bed every morning. And on the other hand, there's the challenges that naturally come. And obviously, the challenges are a bit like waves, so you might get wiped out. But if you can overcome those challenges, then perhaps you refine your curiosities, and I think that's the tension that when distilled is perhaps called passion, right?
Yeah. I mean, you were talking about impact. I mean, Ask Gene, I can understand the impact of that, right? The impact is that we have people who could be better athletes, right? And that's pretty awesome, right? When we have even better sports to watch, we have on the one hand for our sakes and for their sakes, people who are sort of really being able to sort of maximize their ability. That's cool. I can see that. I understand now that you're an investor, though. You sort of made the leap. You've gone from founder to investor, which is something different altogether, right? So how are you creating impact in the companies that you're investing in now?
It's a very good question. I think it comes down to different metrics, such as job security. The businesses that we are acquiring at IPO Capital are not startups. We bought a company last year that's 17 years old, which in startup land is really old, but actually in our universe is quite young. We are literally right now trying to acquire 2 other businesses in the UK. And the younger one of those businesses is 90 years old, and the old business is 160 years old. So at some point, you're talking about legacies. You're talking about something that's been in a community for literally over 100 years. And there comes a lot of responsibility being the new stewards of such enterprises. Are we good owners? Are we behaving well? Are we taking care of the employees? Are we giving people in that ecosystem a sense of security? And by the way, are we doing all of this whilst being profitable? So I think the metrics change, the challenges change, the why changes, but you carry these things forward with you regardless of what activity you execute.
Yeah, interesting. So Trinus Rejser, we're going to be hearing from you later today in the Go Grow demo day.
Yeah, and I hope in 45 minutes with the award ceremony.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see if you're a winner. You can get in your viewer choice votes right now. I think it's kind of unfair, actually, that they get 3 minutes and you get the whole time on stage. So maybe we're going to have to balance those odds for the winners awards later. And here, CSC, also Go Grow. You also no.
All of the programs.
All of the programs. I know that Sarah Yusufina, I think, said that she was Go Grow, and she is the only one that's left. So this is really an ecosystem created around CBS. So Jasmina, tell us more about, so we have investments in schools. Is CBS, to what extent is that a government initiative or is that private? And to what, because I don't know actually, I'm curious. And what other initiatives that is Dansk Erhverv pushing for to sort of help people make this leap into entrepreneurship?
Like, we obviously support any initiative that we can, because we're a private business organization, and our members are companies that make money, And if we don't make sure that there are new companies growing, then we won't have any members in the future. So that's like to give you a little better background of why it's important for Dansk Erhverv and the Chamber of Commerce to support entrepreneurship. And there are so many great initiatives, and we see a lot of them being surrounded around the student communities at universities, which makes a lot of sense because a lot of the companies that would have an opportunity to grow in the future is often something that has a bit of knowledge behind it. So that's an obvious reason why it's very popular with the entrepreneurship communities around universities. But I think what is even more important is that we make sure that we also mix these communities, because we have some great initiatives out in DTU with the Skylab. I was out there the other day, and they're building rockets and like racing cars, electric racing cars. And I'm from CBS, and I was like, wow, did I study the wrong thing? Yeah. But I think the perfect mix would be if we could then combine the knowledge on marketing, finance, economic or like international finance and all these things. If we can combine all that CBS knowledge with the knowledge that entrepreneurs have, or that they have in Kea where they do design and things, that would be even stronger. So that's something that we would also like to work on in the future, to create, maybe be the glue in between all these different communities, so we can make sure that all these bright minds, they meet each other. I think that would be very, very strong. So that's obviously like the communities. Then we also have all the great, like there are some great accelerators out there that are often made by companies, or some of them are, and then they work in specific industries. So if, for example, if you do a fintech, you would often be able to find a larger corporation or like a bank that could take you into give you some knowledge and maybe even some cash to continue on. And then Denmark also have some great initiatives in getting access to finance. For example, at Innovationsfonden, they have some really, I think they just recently opened up for a new round of InnoFounder. Just a little bit of advertisement here for that. If you're a student and thinking of starting your own business, I think you can apply for the InnoFounder right now. And that's, where you basically get a salary. I think it's, don't hold me up on this, but I think it's 15,000 a month that you get for just applying and committing to running your own company when you are a university student.
I love what you're saying, because I think both sides know that they need to, sort of mingle. Yeah. Both sides being tech startups, to be specific, versus, let's say, traditional companies. But it's like awkward dating, right? They don't really know how to do it, I guess. And the startups perhaps are a bit intimidated, and don't really know how to approach these companies, and they probably don't want to work with us anyway. And on the other hand, these large organizations probably feel, well, what could we really gain from a startup? Will they even be here in 12 months? So there's perhaps a mutual mistrust, which, rightfully or wrongfully is probably just the status quo. So I think it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. And in that way, perhaps being the matchmaker, that sort of says, well, you guys say you want this, they say they want that. Does it make sense that the two of you collaborate, right?
Exactly, and it does take a lot of in-depth knowledge to the industry, something that I might not have on all areas, but to give an example, yesterday we did it was a webinar like everything else at the moment, but where we took in large corporations that were looking for new technology and new innovation on cleaning or things that could help us get back to workspaces after Corona. So it was like Neil Fisk and Novozymes and ESS and other large corporations that were interested in like innovation on like, okay, so now we have COVID, what do we do? Like, can we do this differently? And then we took a lot of startups that were doing like robots, different AI things, new microbes for cleaning products and different things, and then we just basically put them together inside the screen and then like made them talk to each other. And I think well, we'll see, but I hope we're going to get a lot of nice partnerships out of that. And that's something we would like to continue in different fields, because I think it's very important both for the large corporations to get this new knowledge. They might not know what's going on. and the small corporations need the large corporations to get going and build this and get tested.
Can we ask Lasse? I mean, if you were gonna ask for a corporate date,
a corporate date. What's your corporate date? I might help you.
who would that be, and why?
So just to like a little perspective from my side. So I've never been afraid to sort of approach someone. So what we did just a couple of weeks ago, actually, we wanted to do a partnership with someone more established and someone bigger than us, and we wanted to do it with someone whose brand value could feed ours, sort of. So we approached Soundbox, who has a brand and has the same target group and has the same values as us. And like I know these guys get a lot of, like they get approached almost every day from other startups because they did it. Those guys, they did it. But they said yes, and we are in a dialogue, and we are entering into a partnership now. So we did it. We did it without help. But I think what you're doing is so incredibly important. Also, just because it doesn't have to be a complete match for the competencies, but just like the fire that is in the startups, like the urge to do something new, to build something new, to do stuff in a different way. That like the value of that in itself is just incredible. And if you can open up to that, that's important.
I mean, I hope that we have some international viewers because, you know, the amount of investment and support available in Denmark for startups, I bet there's people screaming at their TV screens around the world, just being like, I need to move to Denmark. I need to get a bit in this. So I think it's, you know, there's a really good story here about if people do have, you know, the potential that there is a lot there and that's going to sort of help them to accomplish their dreams if they want to. And I think part of this theme is that, you know, you still have to reach out, right? You still got to make networks. You still got to ask questions. You still got to get on the phone. Yeah. It's not going to come to you. Yeah. But if you do reach out, you know, you're likely to have, you know, a positive reaction. Now, I mean, I think you probably all meet loads of startups and you know, founders especially and entrepreneurs. Jasmina, in your world, I mean, this must be sort of what you do on a daily basis. You know, is everyone like Jesper Buch? I mean, you know, so what's, if you, are there sort of a variety of, are there lots of different qualities you see? So what's...
So many different kinds of entrepreneurs. And I think one thing that's important here is that we see that there is actually a lot of, I mean, obviously, all startups would like some more finance. They would all like to talk to the investors. But when we look at the statistics, we can see that that's actually not the highest point for young people. That's not when we look at the barriers. When we ask them what keeps you from becoming an entrepreneur, most of them answer that I don't feel like I have the competencies. I don't know how to do it. Like they don't believe in themselves, which is a little bit sad. If that's the only thing that's in the way, I feel like that's something we could be able to actually move on. Do
you think that that's something that you need to get in much earlier on to build up the confidence of young people, especially before they even get to university, sort of? Yeah. So the inspiration needs to start at an even younger age, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
I think also as ecosystems become more successful, the proof is in the pudding, right? So when you look at Silicon Valley, you know, anyone that lives in California probably doesn't need to be told that you can build $1 billion company. There's 100 examples. Yeah. And I think as those examples sort of come to fruition in new ecosystems, for example, Denmark, perhaps that needle gets moved a bit more. I think shows like the Danish Lion's Den helps a lot. It's sort of a theoretical practice, even if it's just sitting on your couch and watching you know, an entrepreneur pitch their product. So I think it will come. I mean, I think the one thing that all entrepreneurs have in common, bar none, is they're dreamers by definition, because you're trying to build something that doesn't exist. Whether it's, you know, simply, for example, a source of income, like taking oranges from an orange cart to a market. Well, you're dreaming of the cash flow that results from that, or whether it's, you know, trying to build Uber. So I think, you know, in general, entrepreneurs are dreamers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And,
definitely. Yeah. I mean, the theme of today is, of course, transformational entrepreneurship. And you can imagine if you gave equally these resources to absolutely everybody, we're going to, you know, enable everybody who has a dream. And hopefully most of these dreams are going to be positive, changing the world sorts of dreams to make a difference, right? So I think at the core of this is making sure that anybody who wants help can get help. We've got about 40 seconds left, so I'm going to quickly. What's the biggest what's the biggest myth about entrepreneurship or being an entrepreneur?
I would say very quickly that that they are crazy risk takers. I found that more often than not, it's calculated risks, including that it's an unacceptable risk not doing it, for example.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Lasse, would you agree with that, or what?
I think you have to like taking risks, but the risks are the joy of life.
Absolutely.
So do it.
And you took an incredible risk, and you're gunning through it. It's absolutely, it's incredibly impressive to see. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
I thought it was a wonderful conversation. I learned so much. And we're going to go right now and see you back in 5 minutes for the final keynote conversation.